All right, so I'm going to be addressing that yearning for being productive and the difference between being uh, busy and actually being efficient in the things that we need to do. Because that's the one thing that we can, all of us are guilty of that, being caught up in where I remember those times where I feel that I would want to cram so much into the day and do all those things. And by the end of the day, I would be done. And naturally, that would eventually lead into a burnout, right? And so I remember when I made the shift between thinking in terms of how much I have to do during the day and almost like logically thinking about it, from now relying more on my intuition, the things that I would hear during my meditative time, that time spent with myself in silence. And I realized the big lesson was that in terms of the kind of guidance that I'm getting once I really learn to pay attention to what's happening inside, is that less is more. And I got to realize that only very few things needed to be done that day in order for me to reach the goals that I would set for myself, or the things that I really want to see happen in my life. And the beautiful thing is that once I made that shift, it was very easy to, as I would document or journal that meditative experience, right in front of me, the very few things that I could choose and be advised to do that day, and the things that I could leave on the back burner. And so naturally, the choice that I decided to make was to trust, my spirit, the way that it would guide me, because my theory is that it has the full picture. And as far as I'm concerned, as much as yes, I would try to do as much as I could, I only get to see a portion of that picture, because in a way I would be looking at it through this, smaller hole, right? Where my spirit has the big picture. So it would know what needs to happen that day in order for me to move the needle. And also, I like to come from a perspective where, as I would look back at my journaling and see the patterns and the building blocks, how things would add onto it, how the different pieces would add onto it one another, I would see that it's about the proper sequencing, right? And so for me, when I would try to think of it logically and try to do all these things, I may accomplish all those things, and obviously the cost of it is eventually me burning out. But when I did it the other way, I realized that over time, I get to understand why some things needed to happen not on that day, but on the following day, or a few more days down the road, right? Because other elements, other circumstances, scenarios outside of my control that I couldn't even think of had to uh, had to come into play at a particular time. And it doesn't matter if I had done all these things before that thing would have happened, it would not have made a difference. But the fact that the very few things that needed to be done ended up being done. And so by the time that we'll say that other event would happen, things will naturally fall into play. And so there's this sense of fluidity and effortlessness that comes from, as I've got to see, when really following this way of living, essentially this way of making decisions that is more spiritually led, as opposed to, led with, my head. And so that really makes a difference even in terms of my health. The one thing that I've realized is that, again, because of our my spirit, again, I choose to believe that it has the full picture, including my health. There would be days where during my meditative time I would hear to not do a thing that day. And so I would choose to trust that, and that day I would not do anything, or maybe I would be advised to only do one thing. And so I would go with that. And the way that I have been able to notice those things is because of the way I capture what's happening during that meditative experience. And very key items that I pay attention to during that time. And by the way, I have created a PDF, so if you want to download it, it's free, depending on where you're watching this video. If you are on the community, you can see it, right here in the post. If you are on YouTube, for instance, seeing this anywhere else, if you want to have that PDF, it's free. just come into a Soul Work, the community, and you can just download it there for you to just go through exactly what I go through and what I am able to capture during my meditative time to be able to see, okay, those are the very few things that I need to work on this day. And the beautiful thing about this process is that it gives me option during that day when I'm done with these key items. Now I have an option. I have an option to add more, right? In terms of things that I feel like I want to do. So I can do that. Or I can decide to just relax and just go enjoy other things during that day. And so that's the thing that I really love about choosing this way of moving through the day, moving through life, and making decisions, is because it really preserves my energy. And so in the long term, I don't have to feel like I am burnt out. And so this is something that I invite you to take a look at, to consider, because again, I have been there where I try to cram so much into the day. There are so many priorities, opportunities coming my way, right? And we have to decide, what do we say yes no to? What do we say no to? So many things. But this approach I found really frees up a lot of mental space, a lot of energy, to be able to still be grounded and still feel that I'm able to again just not burn out and just feel, on the contrary, more full of energy, because I've been able to come from this place of knowing, this place of efficiency, where again, not everything has to be done that day. And I found that, a day or two really makes no difference. Again, going back to some of those other elements that have to come into play, but over the long term, when everything that's supposed to be done is done right and at the right time, because again, it's the right sequencing and the right timing, the main goal is achieved sometimes even sooner than expected. So that's the one thing that, again, I invite you to take a look at, because I understand that yearning to be productive. In a way, the culture that we're in kind of condition us for that. And it's naturally a balance that we have to find within ourselves, because I believe, especially when we are in a place where we have so many meaningful things to do, we feel that we want to do so much because we want to do so much. We want to impact so much, right? But the one thing I found with this approach is that, again, less is more. So this is something that I invite you to try out, and see. Obviously, it's going to take a bit of an adjustment. Again, like, I've been going at it for like over 13 years now. I have over 4,500 hours of meditative practice, right? So it's easier for me now, but for someone who's starting, it may take a little while. So I would say just give it a fair shot, and again, just come back to this, to myself, to the community. Ask questions if you'd like me to dive deeper into this concept. I can make other videos about it. But otherwise, I would say yes. Start with the PDF that I'm going to share with you here, or that's attached to this video, and just take it one step at a time. And offer me feedback. Let me know how this is actually working for you, and we can definitely take it from there. I'm here to support you. The community is free to join. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to attach the link in the description. And so just get on that. And then once you get to see this video, you'll see the PDF that you can download and start implementing right away. You'll see it's effortless. It's very simple. I like to keep things simple. So again, when it comes to this need for this yearning for wanting to be productive and moving from being busy to not even necessarily being productive, but efficient, that's how I approach this. Again, trusting that whatever my spirit is recommending is it, and usually it always works that way. I really get to see a very few items that have to be tackled that day. And then once I'm done with my meditative time, and that's something that you can call whatever you want to call it, that or prayer time or time in silence, time with yourself. Once I'm done with that, I'm able to see how my day is shaping up. And then I can go about it, know exactly what needs to be done. And so by the end of the day, as long as I know that I did these key things, the day was taken care of. So give it a shot. I am going to be addressing some of these questions because this was actually a question from one of the members in Soul Work. And so if you have those, share it with us. And I'll make sure that I can address those. I am going to be doing these every week. These are focused Q&A sessions. And yeah, I'm here to support you. Let me know what you think of this different way of approaching things using the PDF, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, talk to you soon. And again, my name is Mick. Bye bye.